talking normally.
Okay. Right, let's just check we're live. Let's have a little look. Hey everyone, if you just joined, we're just checking if we're live. If you have joined us, do say hello.
Hello.
Not you, Dave. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're in. Awesome. Right then, here we go. Nice.
Young Jackie Bally has joined us.
Jackie Bally, yeah. Yeah, great to see everyone on. And yeah, another Tuesday tune-in. It's been a pretty mad week, isn't it, Dave?
Yep, very tired.
No, it's been a busy one, and over the last week we've with just after the competition a couple of weeks ago, obviously a lot of interest around Kilimanjaro. We had a lot of questions, and we thought, well, we may as well just do one live all about Kili. Although on all of our Tuesday tune-ins, yes, I know there's going to be questions that come out. But anyway, great to see people joining us. Laura, Rachel, John, Amanda, Dave's. Oh, great to see Dave, Bongiorno, Tony, Paul, Simon. Yeah, guys, any questions? Do comment. You know the drill now. Throw them in, and me and Dave will take on the questions.
Did you just say Paul Simon's joined us?
No, Paul and Simon, but yeah, Paul Simon, yeah. I mean, that's was it Bridge Over Troubled Waters, right?
That's the one, yeah.
Hey, Mick Hamilton's joined. Mick, great to see you on, mate. I see you've been hiding in the mountains again, Mick. So yeah, I hope you're staying hydrated there, mate, in the Brecon Beacons.
Didn't we have a second Mick Hamilton book with us now?
We did. Sorry, Mick. There's another one.
So he's this is Mick 1 though. The other Mick is Mick 2.
yeah, it's plenty of mix. But yeah, guys. So Kilimanjaro, awesome trip. We've what was it back the back end of 2019? We kind of launched the trip. And we've had a couple of people who've won 3 places on the trip. We've had a lot of people who showed an interest, have now booked a trip with us. But there was a lot of questions, around similar sort of questions like gear, what's it like, what experience do you like, all the things around that, things around flights, things around injections, vaccinations, things like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and take on some of those today. But Dave, where should we start then around Kili? I know, definitely keep posting some questions, guys, if you've got any.
Yeah, we'll catch them up. Lauren's going to be going through them anyway, and I have them beamed into me from another screen that you guys can't see. That's the level of sophistication you're dealing with here. But yeah, no. So we summited Kili end of Feb.
February the 29th, I believe.
Yeah. Ironically, it was the last ordinary thing I did before lockdown. So yeah, it was crazy. When I left, I could buy as much hand sanitizer as I needed to, and then when I came back, it was all gone. An entire country's deposit of hand sanitizer upped and vanished. But no, it was amazing. Yeah. I don't really know where to start, to be honest with you, but I think it was definitely one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things, at least summit night, that I've ever done. And it was amazing because you think that, I've been to Everest Base Camp multiple times. I've trekked at altitude a lot.
Yeah.
But Kili taught me some new lessons. It was crazy. Just it goes to show that you need a broad range of experience. And when I went to Kilimanjaro, I learned a lot about myself, a lot about how I do at altitude and stuff like that. And it was an awesome experience. Nothing quite prepares you for summit night though.
No, it's a different journey, especially if you like your sleep, because definitely I'm one who definitely likes my sleep, and for only having an hour sleep, because I've never worked nights, nothing like that. And I know, Dave, you've worked nights for a couple of years, haven't you, in previous jobs, and so you found it okay. You still found it hard, but okay.
Yeah, it all depends on whether you. I suppose the difference is that once you've worked nights and you've, because I worked on the railway doing construction for a little while.
Yeah.
So the railway, I did lots of night shifts and stuff like that. So many 12-hour nights, start at 7 in the night, finish at 7 in the morning. I did that hundreds of times. So you just you're used to it. It doesn't necessarily make it easier, but you're just used to it. You recognize the feeling of I'm going to fall asleep standing up, and little tricks about how to keep yourself awake and stuff like that. But what I found about summit night was it was amazing that I've trekked in the dark before.
Yeah.
I've trekked at altitude before. I've trekked when I've been tired before. And I've trekked in bad weather before. But I've never done them all at the same time.
Yeah. It was interesting.
You leave at 11 o'clock at night, in the dead of night. it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
You're tired. You're heading up to nearly 6,000 meters. But honestly, like it was the only time I felt like, oh wow, I had a proper adrenaline rush. Just as we were leaving the tent and setting off, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing it.
It was amazing, wasn't it? I know we were all like freezing our nuts off, but it was brilliant. But yeah, some questions coming through. I'll tell you what, I'll bring this one up first. Haley, how long after walking at altitude can you fly? It's a good question actually, because I mean, I've got a sort of background in scuba diving, where this kind of thing can affect it. So if you, for instance, if you're scuba diving, you need to lead it a certain amount of time, you need to leave it a certain amount of time before you can fly. But with altitude, there's no rules like that, because of the types of pressure you're dealing with. It doesn't affect when you actually fly. So as far as we know, and some people who've literally come down just after, being at 5,000 meters, the next thing you know, the day after they're flying home. Sometimes, it does happen. That's perfectly fine, Haley. So yeah, there's no issues with that, especially for Everest Base Camp, because you're also coming down quite slow. Even if you had to come down to sea level, your body loves that because of the amount of oxygen. You're actually the difference between, say, at Everest Base Camp, which is 5,300 meters, and then when you come back down to Kathmandu, which is just over 1,300 meters. It feels, you can literally taste the oxygen. So yeah, but regarding flying, there's no limitations on that.
Also, Haley, that's a very cute dog. Did I speak to you the other day, Haley, as well? I think I remember speaking to you the other day, but I've spoken to so many people, I'm a bit mad. But I need to know that dog's name. Can you please put that dog's name in?
Name the dog. Is it not Name the Yeti this week, Dave?
No, I need to know his name. I need to know how old he is or she, and I need to know if he's a good dog or a bad dog. There are bad dogs. So is he a good boy?
Yeah, great stuff. Great to see some people coming on though. You got Diane, Zachary, great to see you on here. John Adams is always on here.
The Great Bald Yeti.
Can't get rid of him.
Yeah, the Great Bald Yeti. So, guys, if any of you have any any of you are follically challenged and you have any questions about how to keep your scalp in good condition whilst on a trip, ask the Great Bald Yeti.
Yeah, he's a fountain of knowledge, that boy.
Yeah, his answer to everything is wear a hat.
Look, I know, obviously, as always on these Tuesday tune-ins, we do start off with a subject, but I don't want to leave these questions unanswered. So, Mark Toyne, great to see you on, mate. You've asked about flights to Nepal. But, no, good question, because at the moment due to COVID, obviously with the UK lockdown, worldwide lockdown regarding flights, but they are resuming on the 1st of August, I believe. All going well. We're kind of planning for the best, but also planning for the worst. So, whatever happens, we're working to get everyone over in the autumn. But we are in touch daily with Anuj, our operations manager over in Nepal, just to sort of find out the lay of the land. As it stands, it's all good. But over the next few days, with any new information, we'll definitely be bringing that to the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of flights, so Dave, isn't it? It's 1st of August.
Yeah, 1st of August. Yeah. So that's when the international flights are going to start flying into Nepal again. Yeah. I think they're going to just introduce it slowly, so one a week, building up to the start of the season, hopefully in September. We'll know more about what the actual real time scenario is from the 1st of August. So when they start doing flights, we'll know exactly what's happening and when's it happening. But 1st of August is what's happening at the moment. We'll wait to see. I see, Haley called me Andy on the call the other day and made that mistake.
Really? Oh, well, we do look similar.
We've said it.
I think don't worry, Haley. Like hundreds of other EverTrekkers have done exactly the same thing. Even if they met Dave, they still call you Andy, didn't they?
All the time. It's just the way it is. I'm going to get a T-shirt with an arrow upwards and it says "Not Andy."
We'll have to get one of those, Dave. Definitely. Let's have a little look. Sorry, guys, we're just going through the questions, and Lauren, the social Yeti, is also on the messenger.
Well,
so she's dropping them in.
So let's have a quick look. Jennifer O'Keefe has a wee question about duffel bags. Do you get a bag when you arrive so you can take a wheelie bag on the flight? So it depends where you're going. If you're going to any of our Nepalese trips, you can take a normal wheelie suitcase, and then when you get to the hotel, we'll give you a really good duffel bag.
Let's see what you've done there, Dave. Very good.
Okay. So
that's a dad joke there.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, in Nepal, we'll give you the duffel bag. In Tanzania and the other destinations that we have, we haven't got the supplier lined up yet to produce the bags to the level of quality that we have in Nepal.
Yeah.
So you can rent them in there for a few dollars a day. But I'd recommend just getting your own and bringing your own if you go into Tanzania or Peru or Morocco or anything like that. Nepal, use the EverTrek bag.
Yeah, you can. There are in Tanzania at the hotel. There's a massive store there, so you can use one of their bags if you want to. We are trying to get some made, but like Dave said, they're not the ones in Tanzania aren't up to the same standard. So I didn't just want to give you any bag. We want to make sure it's similar to Nepal in the UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in the next sort of 3 months, maybe by the time you arrive, there will be a bag there. But we'll update everyone.
Yeah.
Who's going on the trip, just to say, look, now we've got some bags for you, because we want to. It's excuse me. It's always nicer when you arrive and you've got a nice little EverTrek bag. You can just dump all your gear in. You leave your luggage at the hotel, ready, nice and clean, ready for when you come back off the trip. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on that, Jennifer. But good question, mate. What else have we got on here? Good to see Mark Van Rossum. I know I messaged you earlier, mate. Great to see you booking on for Annapurna Circuit. I'll look out for your booking later. Paul Brigden, Paul Brigden. I noticed you booked on this week, but yeah, is it harder than? I take it you meant EBC. Where's RBC? I wonder what that is. I'm trying to think of a mountain beginning with R.
EBC. Is it? Yeah, we'll have to. Okay, suggestions for RBC could be, but weirdly, I just glanced down at my keyboard and I was like, yeah, R is next to E. It's going to be EBC.
That's fine.
It's a tricky one, I think, because it's not an apples to apples comparison. Yeah. So trying to find which one's harder, sort of. Is a bit tricky. Nepal, you're trekking for, if you're doing EBC, it's an 11-day trip. If you're doing Kilimanjaro, it's 8 days. So Everest Base Camp is certainly longer. In terms of the up and down nature of the trip, they're pretty much the same. I would say that Kilimanjaro, for 7 out of the 8 days, is about the same or easier than EBC.
Yeah, I agree.
But one of the 8 days, summit day, is harder than any of the other days on Everest Base Camp trip.
Yeah.
The closest you'll get to it is when you go up Kalapatar. You're not far off in terms of altitude, but get up and down Kalapatar is like 4.5, 5 hours. Kilimanjaro from sort of the camp Barafu to the summit and back to Barafu is more like 12 hours, and then plus another 5 hours back down again. So summit day is harder than any other day on EBC. So on Kili, it's all leading up to one day. When you go to base camp, it's kind of
staggered.
Yeah, staggered. Yeah. Some days are easier, some days are harder, and it's just you do. I can tell you which they are, but you'll have to find out for yourself, I guess.
Yeah. No, Paul, I believe Paul's already done it.
Yeah, he's done it. Yeah. So I think Kili's harder on one day.
One day. Yeah. It's a brilliant. I mean, afterwards, because even though you'd be exhausted after that one day, it's a great feeling. I mean, that beer does become very attractive when you get down, and you've summited Kili, you've worked hard, and then you can just let your hair down. Yeah. I know. I'm just going through some of these comments, and I see Diane has put down about the post-climb party, and absolutely, yeah, we, you've got to let your hair down after doing the hard work. So yeah, no worries at all with the dancing and singing, Diane. I look forward to seeing some videos of that, definitely. Let's have a look. Food menu. Let's have a look. Just going through here because someone mentioned snacks. Here we go. Dave, I know you're pretty good with the snacks. Energy snacks, different snacks.
Yeah. So there's two schools of thought on the subject. So one is you'll see a lot of people going on summit night and they'll bring like high energy food, protein bars, and all that sort of stuff. I find that stuff terrible. So I think
tasting.
I'd rather take something that's going to sort of boost the morale, something I'll really look forward to. So when it comes to summit night on Kili, I'll bring sort of, I don't know, like Haribo's, few Snickers, Mars bars. I brought a few Mars bars, which they were frozen solid by the time I got to the top. It was like they were out the freezer. So yeah, stuff like that, to be honest with you, and keeping the energy up. I'll put like some of those like energy dissolvable energy stuff in a water bottle, and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, it's just about food and energy and calories. There's no one thing you can take. So everyone does things a little differently. Personally, I think when you're on a really it's a tough summit bid, you're tired, you're working hard, and then you pull out this disgusting protein bar that you've got to It's not great. You pull out a Mars bar, you eat it, boost of energy, you feel much better. So yeah, to be honest, all the normal snacks that you can get is the stuff that I use. I actually got taught that by a Marine. So Steve from Aim Higher in North Wales, we were out climbing Snowdon doing some training with him, and he was telling us, like, I said, what do you bring when you go on a trip and stuff? And he's like, anything. He's like, if I enjoy it, I'll bring it. If I don't, I won't.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So ever since I've done it, he's the one that taught me about hot squash. So put hot squash.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah.
Because when it's nice, it's just like a hot, sweet drink. When it's cold, it's squash. So
two benefits.
Yeah, it works.
No, it's a good question. I think Dave's bang on. In terms of getting stuff that boosts the morale. I mean, I'm the same. I kind of recommend taking stuff that definitely picks you up. The treats. So take, even if it's just one thing along, if it's Everest Base Camp, Kili, Machu Picchu, one thing that'll just give you a pick me up, whatever that may be. Even if you're taking some beef jerky or, a big treat, take that with you. You can buy it up there, but it does get quite expensive.
Yeah.
In Everest Base Camp and Kili, you need to get everything down. If you want to take your own stuff, you need to get it down in Moshi before you actually start the trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, some good questions. It's great to see so many people on here, and Haley, Mark, Aid, Brian. I know Brian's booked on for Kili now. He just got part. Was it him, Jack? I think a few of the other guys who were stuck in Nepal in March due to lockdown. They've joined. They're going to coming back to Kili with us. So yeah, guys, looking forward to having you with us again.
Paul Leach has asked Dave, Andy, is there a secret to stop getting a sweaty back with your backpack? No.
Good question.
No, I'm never buying it. If you figure it out, you're gonna have to tell me, Paul. No, part and parcel of the way it goes. A lot of these backpacks now, they have like a mesh that sits against your back, and then a gap for the airflow and stuff like that. But if you're hiking, you're gonna get hot, and if you get hot and anything's pushing against your skin, you're gonna sweat. So the best thing I do is get a good base layer. And then at least what will happen is when you take the pack off, it'll dry within a few minutes. So good base layer is the only way that I find to sort of mitigate it. But yeah, no, there is nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's it. It's especially like Dave, you said you run hot, don't you? You sweat. You just got to start walking, you sweat. Whereas there are some out there that do have these wonderful mesh, backs. Some of them are better than others, depending on the material. But most of the time, you still have a little bit of sweat, even if there's a layer of air between you and the actual, day pack. So yeah, the Osprey Talon's pretty good. Again, it's like Dave said, it's going to happen, I'm afraid. I think the best way to do it is if you do have, layers, make sure they're wicking. So for instance, if you've got a base layer and you're sweating, you want to make sure that it's one that sort of wicks away the sweat. Whereas if you're wearing cotton or some form of material like that, it's just going to get, when you cool down, that water is going to be there. It's going to make you cold.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure you're wearing the right base layer, or if it's a t-shirt, make sure it's not cotton. I say that I've done that. I've worn a cotton shirt, and I'm like, we've all been there.
Two comments. So John Adams has reminded me about snacks. He's the Great Bald Yeti. When me and John were walking around Namche just looking for snacks, we found a packet that was called hygienic dry meat.
Wow.
I think it was jerky, but cuttlefish coated peas. And I'll be honest, John worst out. He didn't get them. I couldn't have them, of course. I had to work. But John worst out. And also James Wright has said, Dave, am I wearing eyeliner? No, do I look like I'm wearing eyeliner?
Well, I thought it was just normal.
Yeah, to be honest, James, I'm just falling back into my new romantic stage, so that's...
Dave, I think you need to get more sleep. No, I'm really kidding. Some great comments on here, guys. Let's have a look. Typical food menu, ECB. Mark, again, I know we're here to talk about Kili, but any questions here, guys? Because if it's a question, needs answering. Typical food menu. So it's kind of an open menu on Everest Base Camp, as in you can choose what you'd like to have. Most of the time, there's some Western meals on there. So you can even have pizza. There's some pasta, potatoes, chips. But there's obviously the local stuff, because you've got lentils, dalbat, which is like all the Nepalese and the Sherpa and the guides eat that with rice. And the best thing about having the local stuff is that it's almost unlimited. Especially with dalbat, you can have a plate full of it, and then if you're still hungry, you can have more. With the Western dishes, they come, say it was like a pizza, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, bear in mind where you are. They're not, you know, it's not Domino's, it's not Pizza Hut. You know, you're in the mountains. It's basic, and the cheese is never great. I think we've only ever had one decent pizza up there, I think, Dave.
I can't even think about the cheese. The cheese. I love cheese, right? But I can't handle it. Also, ECB. I am loving it, guys. Whenever you have a question about EBC, the challenge now is to misspell it as many ways as you can. Again, John, when me and John went for the first time, I was telling him about dalbat, and John loves dalbat, and he was like, "I'm gonna have dalbat every meal. I'm gonna have breakfast, and then dalbat for lunch, and dalbat for the evening meal." And I was like, "For 11 days," and he's like, "Yep," and I was like, 22 dalbats is what he's gonna have.
That's a lot of rice and a lot of dal, but you know what? I bet he did
well. He failed, but he did make it into like the teens. I think he had about 13 dalbats or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then he went and had pasta on the one day where we went into a restaurant we don't normally use on the trail, tea house, and we had the best dalbat I've ever had. Fresh vegetables.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. They picked it from the garden that day, didn't they? Yeah.
Homemade chutney and everything. And John was sat there with spaghetti or something. So. Yeah.
What else we got? We got Diane. Diane says a good question actually. How soon before EBC? Yeah, she got it right. Before I should be getting vaccines. So sooner the. You know, look at your date. I'd say sort of 6 months in, if you're going to get like your boosters, you know, your tetanus, your polio, your typhoid, you know, those ones that you get, I think it's every 10 years. Double check with, you know, your GP, or even visit a travel clinic, Diane. But I know if you go into, say, Kili, you know, obviously you've got malaria, you've got malaria tablets, which you need. And anywhere you go in terms of the rabies jabs, and the rabies jabs, you need to have, I think it's 3, over spread out over a certain amount of time, so you need to leave it a little bit. I think, Dave, you've had the rabies jabs. What's the gaps?
So I think you have one, then you have another one a week later, and then another one 2 or 3 weeks after that. So it takes about a month, just over a month, maybe all in all, to get a full vaccination of rabies. So
you're done, right? You don't.
Yeah, but you have to have the first one. The second one you have to have within 2 weeks of the first, and then the third one you can have whenever. So I had the first 2, then I didn't have time to get the third one, and I got it like 3 years later. No, 2 years later I went back and had the third jab,
and that was fine.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Rabies, they say, you know, we can't advise you to get it or not get it. It is classed as a maybe, you know, so it all depends on your comfort level. And like I said last week, I think that if I see a dog, I'm petting it, you know, any animal. I try and catch a monkey if I see it. So, you know, I get it. I get fully covered. What Jerome has asked you about UVA and UVB, what sunglasses, snow goggles do the Yetis recommend? So I use Julbos.
Someone else asked about that as well. But yeah, Jerome, good question, mate.
So Julbos I use, to be honest, they're pretty much they've sort of cornered the market when it comes to sort of high altitude glacier quality sunglasses. They offer a range of different lenses and stuff like that, depending on where you're going. So I've got a good pair. I think they're called the Spectron 4 lenses or something like that. Yeah. They're quite expensive for some. Well, I say quite expensive. They're about the same price as a set of Oakleys, you know. But they're really, really good, and they'll look after your eyes, because I got lots of like eye sensitivity issues at the you know. So whenever I go anywhere and it's bright, I have to wear sunglasses anyway. The Julbos are the ones that I use when it comes to trekking high altitude.
Yeah, I mean, these are Oakleys. I used them when I was skiing. You know, they're pretty good when it comes to bright conditions. You know, because these are prism lenses. So normally they're on ski goggles, but they've built them into shades now. You know, if you're looking at, if you just Google the Oakley prism, they are very good. Oh, you got them there, have you, Dave?
No, these aren't the Julbos, but they're prism glasses.
They're the prism.
These are a set of Oakleys. But someone's asked me, I heard it's pretty painful though, Dave. That could mean anything. What were we just talking about? Was it the rabies jabs?
Rabies, yeah, I reckon it's the rabies.
To be honest, the difference between the actual jab in the arm is negligible. They all hurt. I found that typhoid was the worst one for me.
Really?
Typhoid and tetanus. So one of them, I think it was the typhoid one. That man, I had a dead arm for about 3 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are a bit painful. It's not the end of the world. It depends how bad you are with needles.
Yeah, I mean, short-term pain, means that, like, for instance, with rabies, it's worse. If it's better than the alternative. If something does happen to you, saying that, I haven't actually got my rabies done yet.
John has just said some basic Oakleys did the job for me. Good sunnies, about 60 to 70 quid for me. Hang on a minute, two things there. I think I gave him the Oakleys. And calling a present basic is quite insulting, I think.
Let's have a look. David, he's talked about doing a safari after Kili, a realistic thing to think about. Yeah, absolutely. Loads of people do it. We've built, I mean, the actual Kili trip is relatively short. So the whole trip as such is 11 days. So yeah, if you want to incorporate some safari after your trip, we are working. I mean, we've got some packages already. We're trying to, because it's been a busy couple of weeks, but we're trying to get it on the website. So you can literally just click, add it, and it adds to your balance, and you can book that trip. At the moment, we're having to do it manually. So if you want to do a safari after your trip, just reach out to us. Ping us a message, and we can just get it added on. We'll obviously send you the breakdown, the itinerary, the costs, and we can just add it on to your trip. Because we've done some safari. I went there first time 2008 to the Serengeti, and it was fantastic in Tanzania. Highly recommend it. If you're over there and you've got some spare time, even if it's for, say, 3 days, do it. You won't regret it. It's absolutely an amazing, special place. So yeah, we realize that although we're here for the trekking side of things, the team we have over in Tanzania, they're also just as good in the safari side of it. So yeah, it makes complete sense. And there's certain times of year as well. Like, for instance, obviously it's Southern Hemisphere, so it's a little bit different to the UK. But dry season, I believe, is June to October, and dry season is normally the best for safari. It is slightly busier because, as you can imagine, it's summer months in Europe.
Yeah.
So people are off school, you can get away. So it is slightly busier, but those are the best months for safari. Generally June to October. Just because the grass is down, so you can see more of the, more of the animals. Whereas if you go sort of during rain season, the grass can be high, you might not see as much.
Yeah.
So something to think about if you're thinking about if safari is a big thing for you, and looking at dates.
Yeah. Patrick Laster's just said yellow fever. So as far as I'm aware, when you go, well, say as far as I'm aware, I was advised this last Thursday when I went for some blood tests and I spoke to a travel nurse, and I've been advised it on several other occasions by travel experts in the medical field who have said you don't need the yellow fever vaccination if you're traveling from the UK to Tanzania and you're not transiting through another African country or a place where it's prevalent.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're traveling, say you were traveling and you went to Kenya first and then you flew to Tanzania, you'd probably need to get the vaccine. But if you're traveling from the UK via, say, I flew via Doha in Qatar, and then I think you don't need the yellow fever vaccine.
Yeah, very good.
What you can have for most travel nurses and most travel companies like Nomad will provide you with a letter. If you want some comfort, you'll have a letter that says that you're exempt from it. So yeah, I've never had that one.
Yeah, definitely. It's one. I've actually had yellow fever years ago. Back when I first went in 2008, you needed to have it then to go into Tanzania. But yeah, that's changed now. You don't need it anymore. If you did, it lasts for 10 years and you get a certificate. But yeah, you don't need it. Like Dave said, unless you're transiting or coming from a country where it's already an issue. Yeah. So from the UK, US, Australia, New Zealand, you're all good. Yeah. Some good. Let's have a look. What's Chris Tom? Chris, great to see you on the live. How much cash should you take for the trek itself per person? Obviously for EBC. With regards to cash, I mean, you could draw some out in Kathmandu, plenty of ATMs there. If you take cash with you, specifically to change into local currency, £100-200. It depends. You don't have to take much because all of your food's covered, all of the water, your tea, your coffee, everything like that. But if you want a beer or you want to buy some souvenirs, you want to take some spending money. It's nice to, as you're going through, just to, if you want a can of Coke or something like that, just something else you've got some cash there just to get it. So yeah, £200, and then you're looking at tips as well. So we normally recommend anything between £70 to £100 for tips in Nepal. They're not compulsory, but they're kind of, we like to say, culturally expected in Nepal, because it does, it is part of their earnings as well. So yeah, it is, if you're giving £70 to £100, that's a good amount. And what people tend to do is then, Chris, and obviously everyone else is watching, the group kind of pools the money, and then, you can kind of divvy it out then to all the guides, assistant guides, porters, etc.
Yeah. So I just noticed Mark Skinner has just, will I need to use DEET repellent in the autumn trekking season as opposed to spring? Depends where
good question.
If you're talking about Kilimanjaro and Tanzania, so you definitely need some. You can buy it there. To be honest, it doesn't agree with me. Like I had it on my hands before, and then I touched my lip, and my lips swelled up, and I had like a burn on my lip. More importantly than insect repellent is the malaria pills. Once you start taking them, you should take them for the whole time, because what tends to happen is people might take them, then not take them when they're climbing the mountain, because there's an assumption that there are no mosquitoes there. Well, there are mosquitoes there. There are mosquitoes as high as sort of Shira 2. I didn't quite believe it until I went there, but yes, 100% there are mosquitoes there. And also, you should just take it all the time. So, but yeah, you can get that DEET repellent there. It's no problem at all.
Yeah, I use the DEET, because Mozzie seems to love my blood. So yeah, it's always a bit of a pain, but after a couple of days, you don't notice it. But yeah, it massively get your malaria sorted, your malaria tablets, Mark. And yeah, with regards to Nepal, you don't need it. There's no issues when the Mozzies don't like altitude.
Yeah.
But the first couple of days you're on, or the first day actually when you're climbing Kili, you do hike through the jungle. There's a lot of bugs and mosquitoes there, so it's always good just to take a little bit with you, just for the first day. Once you get higher, there's nothing really that we saw. There might be subtle differences, if it's really damp conditions, but they don't like altitude. Jennifer O'Keefe said a good question as well. So they're coming from Scotland, but in terms of best UK airport to fly from to get to Kili, I mean, there's loads. We've had customers from Inverness who've flown from Inverness, near Edinburgh as well. They've flown over to another airport. Some have even made their way down to London. We flew from Heathrow or Gatwick. But anywhere in the UK, any big airport, you've got Manchester, I even believe Newcastle, Belfast if you're in Northern Ireland. Yeah, if you're in Scotland, there's always, if you put a little search in Skyscanner or momondo.co.uk, they'll come up with some different ways of traveling there. There's no direct flights to Kili, so you do have to stop off somewhere anyway, to change. So yeah, loads of UK airports there, Jennifer. From Scotland, yeah, don't worry, there's plenty. We've got plenty of EverTrekkers who are from Scotland. They've travelled from like Inverness, things like that.
Nice. I'm just making a note of Asher's comment.
Okay.
Incognito repellent for the face.
Oh, there we go. Cheers, Asher. Let's have a look. What else is coming through here? There's some good questions actually. Someone mentioned Jerome. I'll just answer this one quickly because I know we talked about earlier. But Jerome, you mentioned about yellow fever last 10 years. Yes, it does. That's what I was told when I had my yellow fever injections. But I don't know if that's changed, but that's what I was told anyway. Again, anything like this, obviously this is just through experience, but anything around injections, things like that, if you want to chat to someone like a travel clinic or your GP, for official advice, definitely do that. And don't forget, if you come through us and you go through Nomad, you do get the free consultation as part of EverTrek. So if you do want to book a consultation, you do get some, was it 10% off the injections?
Yeah,
I think it's 10% off the injections. Then if you go ahead and have them, so just a little something really. If you do mention EverTrek when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look.
So I did see someone ask. So I think it was Sarah Jackson. In our opinion, when's the best time to actually climb Kilimanjaro?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, so to be honest, Kili's really good because there's a lot of options to climb Kili. It's pretty much we don't recommend it in sort of April, May time. So we don't offer a lot of trips during that time of year, largely because of the rain. So when you get to the top of Kili, the last thing you want to do is, experience really bad weather and not have to see the view and stuff like that. So yeah, and also November. So November again is a time where we don't tend to run trips because the weather's not all that great for it. But yeah, January, February into mid-March, and then sort of June, sort of mid-June up until October, and then you can do December to February. So yeah, it's a little bit more sort of stop and start than it is on Everest, which has just 2 distinct seasons, 6 months a year. But yeah, so that would be the best time.
Yeah, nice, Dave. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because technically you can climb Kili all year round, but it's just about having the best views and the best time as well, your best experience. It does get busier, as I mentioned earlier, regarding safari stuff. It does get busier from June to October, just because of the time of year, but it is the best. Does get a little bit colder, but it's dry season, so yeah, you don't get as much rain.
Yeah.
So it is pretty good. Let's have a look. We've got some good ones actually coming from. Where was it? Alice Dixon. You mentioned, do we include flights or do we book them separately? Yeah. So with our trips, on any of our trips, we don't sort your international flights. There's a couple of reasons for it. The main reason was in the beginning was always cost. Just because it's normally cheaper for yourself to go and just book them separately. Because we pick you up from when you land and then we drop you off when you leave, it's just the international flight you have to sort. And I think the other big thing for us has been flexibility. I think it's been apparent that with COVID-19 in March, that one of the big pain in the backsides has been reorganizing international flights for everyone. You imagine if you had that with us, that the flexibility we offer would be different. Because you can move your trip with us anytime. There's no cost to moving your trip. Because for us, it's very easy to move your date. It's a 10-second job for us, as long as you give us a little bit of time. But if you included flights, that would be a whole different process.
Yeah.
So yeah, although we were looking to possibly include international flights as an option, we kind of almost decided against it due to the last sort of 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
We want to stick to what we're good at. I mean, the trekking side is what we're known for. It's what we're good at. So but we'll certainly help you, point you in the right direction. You've got hundreds of our EverTrekkers who've come on trips with us, and just sorting your international flight. I know it thinks, I wish it was all in, but just having that flexibility at the moment seems to be really valuable.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy that we don't do the flights right now. But we'll definitely help you if you book on trip.
Yeah. Also, we haven't really talked much about kit, Anne, so I'm going to just. So Tony Mankey has asked, what's some good sweat wicking pants?
Okay.
So now there's a couple of different options here. So you can get Icebreaker, Anatomica boxer shorts, and you can get the Smart Wool boxer shorts. They're merino wool based, so any merino wool based underpants is going to be brilliant.
Yeah,
they're not cheap though. They're about 30 quid a pair, but you can get them often in a sale or anything. But if you just buy a set of Icebreakers, for instance, you're going to be paying about 30 quid. What I've done is just like when I've got a trip coming up or something like that, I did this ages ago. So I'll buy a pair next month. I'll buy a pair next month. I'll buy a pair. So I've got about 9 pairs now. So I've got an incredibly expensive underpant collection, but it does make they are brilliant. The one thing you want to avoid is any like cotton boxers and stuff, like just normal boxer shorts. They're terrible because they'll get wet with sweat and they'll stay wet for the entire time. I know Adidas do some good stuff as well, and Under Armour, they do some good stuff as well. Personally, I always stick to the merino wool because they last so well. And at the end of the trip, they're in much better condition. I wouldn't exactly say clean, but they're nowhere near as toxic as some of the other pairs that I've had. So check out the Smart Wool and the merino wool.
Nice. I might have to get a couple of pairs myself, Dave. Too much. Yeah, Mark's like too much detail, Dave. Too much detail, mate. Some good questions here. Let's have a look. Jackie's asked a good question actually, just in terms of the trips we run. We met by us on the trek or those local guides. Yeah, so we don't have any Western leaders on our trips. They're all local guides. We're very passionate about using local support rather than international guides. Some trips we do go on just because we can, and we like to sort of go on, whether it be we're doing some filming, things like that. But generally, yeah, because of all the trips we run, I mean, we run over 70 trips a year to Everest Base Camp via different routes. You've got Gokyo Valley, you've got Three Peaks, Three Passes, the classic route. And then you've got more or less, we're going to be doing roughly about half that to Kili. So yeah, as much as we love to be on them all, it's, we wouldn't be in the office all the time. So yeah, because we run the company from the UK. But look, the guides we use are the ones we've specifically chosen to be EverTrek guides, which we like to think are some of the best out there. I mean, just for example, on Kili, for instance, we had a guide back in February. I think James, who's watching now, was on that trek, and we had a guide called Yessi, and he had climbed Kili over 400 times. He's actually done it in 9 hours because he's so fit, isn't he?
Yeah.
And so that just tells you the level of experience we're looking at when it comes to the guides. And it's similar in Nepal, South America, Morocco. We don't like using new guides. We like to bring people up. So what we try to do is we have the guides, which are head guides, and then we have assistant guides, and then we get some of the porters. And some of the porters actually want to become assistant guides and eventually guides. And most of them come from porters. So we like to almost educate them, teach them better English, get them to that level. So we're always working with our suppliers by doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, Jackie, but if you want to catch up with us, definitely come on one of our training weekends in the UK, because then we do run those. Gives sort of customers a time just to engage with us, and maybe if you've got any questions, things like that, or any of the travel shows. Because obviously we'd love to meet you all. Might be some new news coming soon, which might mean we might even meet before the end of the year, but we'll let you know. But yeah, good question anyway.
Leah has asked, do we have any female Yetis for secret women business questions? Yes, we do. Email Lauren at evertrek.co.uk. And so Lauren will answer all your secret women questions for you. No problem at all.
Another thing as well, Leah, if you jump into the High Altitude EverTrekker group, there's a lot of EverTrekker women who have been on trips with us, people who are going, who, if you put a little post up there, I'm sure that they'll drop you maybe a direct message if there's any specific questions that you have. Because we got a lot of EverTrekkers who have been with us, and definitely drop those questions into the group. Caroline as well. Do we take up the celiac? Yeah, we answered a couple of these today actually. Someone who
are celiacs more active around mid-July? Because you had a question today. I think I answered 2 questions about this yesterday. Amazing.
No, it's a good question, because on all of our trips, I mean, we operate them in remote regions, so you'd think it'd be challenging. But as long as we know something like this beforehand, we can brief the guides, the cooks, everything that happens. So it's, it almost, there's no danger of contamination. Because we've had lots of customers with, symptoms like this, conditions like celiac disease, things like that. Some people who are gluten intolerant, which I believe Diane's going to, here we go. I knew she'd message there. Diane, who messages about gluten intolerant and a vegan. So yeah, we're quite accommodating like that. As long as we know beforehand, we can speak to our staff in Nepal, Tanzania, Peru, Morocco, wherever we're operating the trip, and then we can organise that for you. Because we don't want to put obstacles and say, nope, celiac's not allowed. We're never going to be like that. There's always something we can do. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Caroline.
Diane is also sort of our resident vegan expert.
She is
active on the High Altitude EverTrekkers group. And if any of you guys want to know about vegan equipment like boots and jackets, all that sort of stuff, post it on there. And pretty much Diane will answer all the questions for you because she's done a lot of research in that. She's almost as bad as me when it comes to kit, but specifically vegan kit for Diane. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I put that there, Sinead, because I know Sinead's coming back with us on another trip to on another new route to Everest. So yeah, she's quite excited. But yeah, she's mentioned she did EBC with us. She was a great EverTrekker, and she obviously has got some intolerances. So maybe drop Sinead, if it's okay with you, in the group. Maybe post in there, and Sinead will let you know how she kind of managed or dealt with that. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. Also, Caroline Williams has asked,
yes,
how how much are the flights roughly? Where do you fly from or to? So if you're talking about Kilimanjaro, the flights are around 400 to 700, depending on when you book them. We always advise book them as soon as you can. So generally, the flights are up for sale about a year in advance. If you get them straight away, then you'll get the best deal. And you can get them around 400 quid about a year in advance, 700 if you leave it about 6 months or so before you go. Fly where from? So that really depends. I know I've flown from Cardiff. You can fly from the London airports, and I think you can fly from Birmingham and Manchester. So it really depends which airline you go with. So I do most of my flying with Qatar Airways. So you'll always go via the sort of national country of the airline. So if you're going with Qatar, you'll go to Doha. And then, you can either go then to Dubai or UAE or something like that. And then on to Africa. Generally speaking, it's going to be like a Middle Eastern country. Yeah. So, it's about 7.5 hours to Doha. Then about 6.5 hours then to Kilimanjaro Airport, which code is JRO. So, you need to go to Kilimanjaro Airport, JRO, and our team will be there to pick you up.
Nice. Scott's had a good question as well around obviously looking to book in with us and go in January. Yeah, sure. I mean, we've done Kili in February, but January is very, very similar. It's Southern Hemisphere, so, it can be a little bit of rain on the lower slopes, but generally it's fantastic. You mentioned you're an asthmatic. I don't know if you caught up with the last live we did, which is all around asthma, actually, at high altitude, because I suffer it myself and have done all my life. It's certainly one of those things. As long as you can manage it, as long as you've got your medication with you, there's no reason why you can't, operate at high altitude. People have climbed Everest with it, with asthma. So it's certainly, don't see it as a disadvantage. It's one of those things that generally people perform quite well with it.
Yeah.
For some reason. But it's, like I said, as long as you manage it and get it sorted. I mean, the more fitness you do put into it, it does help. But it's just enjoying yourself when you're out there. It's not fast. It's really slow going. Sometimes you feel like it's going too slow, but, it's for a reason, so you can acclimatize. So, I remember when I was out there, even on summit night, my heart rate didn't really go above 120 because we're moving so slow. So your body's not working hard then to fight, to give you more oxygen because you're going so slow. So, Scott, we'd love to have you with us, mate. So, definitely get yourself booked in.
Also, I just noticed here... Who asked about vaccinations? Someone's asked about vaccinations. We've covered it a lot, but I've just remembered that for Kilimanjaro, we have got a top 10 ask questions. So I think if Lauren can post that link on here using Magic, it'll appear. Basically, one of those top 10s is all about vaccinations and stuff that you need for Kilimanjaro. To be honest, it's anywhere really like that. So it's exactly the same for Nepal, except for the malaria. So if you go to Nepal, everything's the same. You just don't need the malaria pills. If you go to Africa, it's all going to be there. We'll do it any minute now. I'll try and...
I can see it appearing. While we're waiting for Magic to appear, Olivia's asked a good question because, I mean, we obviously talking about it today. But we've had a lot of people take advantage of the £10 discount, £10 deposit. And the £300 discount as well that some people have taken up on new trips they're booking. It is the last day today. Obviously we were you beat me to it, Olivia. But it is the last day today. So if you're keen to get on a trip with us, take advantage of the £10 deposit. Kind of no brainer if you're looking to book onto a trip. As I said before, we're super flexible, but that's what we're here for. Any questions, anything that's putting you off at all from joining us on a trip? I mean, if you want to do it, we'd love to help you get there. That's what we're here for. So it is the last day. So if you are watching, keen to get on a new trip with us, put that tenner down and get yourself on a trip. Let's have a look then. What else we got, Dave? I know
Jackie Bally has asked again, are we... Hang on, so 2 seconds. I've lost it. Okay. Because they come in and then they disappear.
They disappear.
So, are we met by one of your guys on the trek? Or are we met?
I've already answered that one.
We've done that one, haven't we?
We did that one, but it's all right. You can talk about it again, Dave. It's fine.
So we're actually really passionate about using the locals.
Very good. No, it's been some good questions on here. I'm just going through because obviously if there's any questions that we have missed, we'll go through and make it. But I think that's coming towards the end now. But yeah, with Kili, it's a fantastic trip. Any any trip you're looking at high altitude, we'd love to have you with us. We're here to answer any questions. That's why we keep doing this every week, and we will continue to, because it's great. I mean, we get some really good participation. So yeah, really appreciate you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
I think Olivia, you mentioned there about using the discount. So if you are keen to come on a trip with us, definitely get yourself in. There's anything putting you off or stopping you from doing that, just reach out to me and the team.
Yeah.
Obviously we're here in the office today, and some of our staff are working from home. Before we do go though, I know Olivia has dropped in another question. Let's have a look. Do you share tents or have separate ones, Dave?
We normally share. So if you book onto the trip and you don't say anything otherwise, you're going to be sharing a tent. Yeah. So what we always try and do is, we put the boys with the boys and the girls with the girls, so everyone feels a little bit more comfortable. And that's the way it works. If there's an odd number, then obviously someone's going to get their own tent. So that person's going to be lucky. If you want your own tent, no matter what, yes, you can. You can there's a single supplement option. I think it's £150 extra. And basically that covers the cost of the additional porter and the additional tent and mat and stuff like that. That's all going to be carried for you. So yeah, for £150, you can definitely have your own tent. It can help with, if you're really bothered by snoring, although those tents are so thin, you can hear each other's thoughts through the wall.
Are you going to say that?
Yeah. So, if you feel comfortable on your own, then you can be on your own. To be honest as well, I often think that I love the idea of having my own room and my own tent, but when I'm out there, I actually am usually quite glad that I'm sharing with someone, because it means that someone's there with you. So if you wake up in the night and you're not very well or anything like that, you can just sort of elbow them and say, give me a hand or something like that. Yeah. And it's nice to have a little bit of company and stuff like that, and someone to help you out.
It's important, isn't it? Because it's almost peace of mind as well, having someone else with you. Just in case you have a bad night or you're not feeling very well, it's nice to have someone there. And especially if you're going on your own, it's nice to sort of connect with someone in the group.
Yeah.
And become friends. I mean, that's part of the going on a trip. But yeah, as Dave said, obviously we try and put the guys with the guys and the ladies with the ladies. But if you're like a couple, obviously you can share anything, friends. We're not. We're quite open. You just let us know what's good for you, and we'll always try and accommodate it. Typically, as we're about to leave, there's about several questions coming now, so we can't leave these.
No, we're gonna keep going.
We're gonna keep going. Yeah. Let's have a little look. What have we got here? John Newman. John, great to hear from you, mate. Ask around schools who take toys. Done as a group. In Kili. You can. I mean, the school isn't that far away. There's a couple of schools we visit in Kili and Moshi. You can actually take some stuff. Sometimes in terms of toys, I mean, they'll never say no, but sometimes it's good to have something they can use, especially if you go into a school. So if you had some sort of like pencils or pens, coloring books, something that they can actually do rather than just a toy. I mean, obviously it all helps, but I know that when we've gone to the schools, they love the toys, but I know the teachers really love the equipment they can use for schooling. Yeah. So yeah, mate, look, awesome that you're thinking ahead. And done that, and yeah, we normally do it as a group, but if you wanted to go on your own, it's not a problem. It's not far. We can get one of our staff to sort of take you there, but we generally do it as a group.
Yeah, excellent. So a couple of quick questions I can answer quickly. Paul Meach has asked, can you be separate on EBC? Fortunately not. So the issue with on Kilimanjaro we can do it because there's essentially no limit to the amount of tents we can bring. On Everest Base Camp, you can have your own room in Kathmandu, but there's only a finite amount of spaces in each lodge. So if someone has a room to themselves, it takes up a valuable space that someone else is going to need. So unfortunately, it's not possible on Everest Base Camp.
It used to be, didn't it? But it's become more popular the last couple of years. Yeah. And it's become harder and harder to offer that 100%, which is why we're like, obviously we'll try and accommodate it sometimes if it's available. But yeah, it's just, sometimes with they are building extra accommodation, but there's only so many spaces there.
Yeah, exactly.
Reach out to us if it's a big issue, but because we could potentially bring a tent or something. We could work something out, but generally, it's not really possible, unfortunately, anymore.
Yeah. So
and I love that. Sorry, I have to say this: £10 deposits. I know, Diane, we are working on doing Aconcagua. It's been on the agenda for so long now. if COVID hadn't happened, we would have done it already. But yeah, don't worry, there'll be something around that as well. So we won't leave you out, Diane. Don't worry.
So Olivia again has said, is there some privacy in the toilets if you've got like a condition like colitis or something like that? Yes, there is. So we basically provide each group with 2 toilet tents and a little chemical toilet. That's about as private as life gets on Kilimanjaro, is having some canvas between you and whoever can see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at least you've got your own toilet. You're not going to have to go into like a communal area and use the toilet if you.
Yeah, we don't use the long drops. We have our own.
Yeah, it makes things so much easier. And then Caroline Williams has asked, are there any poisonous animals?
Good question. Good question. No, not that I know of on Kili. There's probably. I'm trying to think.
Southern Nepal, you've got snakes.
Nepal, yes.
In the lowlands and stuff like that, you've got snakes, but nothing at high altitude. Nothing where we go. So no, you're totally fine.
The only thing you need to worry about are the high altitude yetis. They do drop in from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not poisonous or very aggressive. But they can be very annoying.
Yeah, definitely. No, some great stuff coming here, and I think just finish off what Olivia was saying, just about toilets and stuff. Yeah, we have added this. I don't know if we put it on the page because it's something new, but we've added our own toilets. Because when you go in from camp to camp on Kili, it's already got toilets at each camp. But yeah, we decided just to have, like you said, that little bit of privacy. It goes a long way. So yeah, we do have our own. Bit windy, if the wind's up. So, but you can't do anything about that. But yeah, definitely, you get your own.
Sorry, mate. I thought you meant like.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean that one.
You can see the tent billowing a lot of the time.
Sarah Dickinson's actually had a good question around going up in a size on your boots.
Another good dog.
I know there's so many dog pics here. We love it.
Olivia, Sarah, sorry, you know the score. Before I can answer the question, I need to know name, sex, how much of a good dog that is, that type of thing.
Yeah. It's no good question about your boots though. I mean, I'd say it's probably best. I'm not sure if they're open right now, but if you went to somewhere like Cotswold Outdoors and got your feet measured, they could probably tell you what good size is. I mean, I wouldn't suggest going up on a size. It might be a bit too much space, and that's going to cause you some blister action there. Normally, I mean, it's an old cliche, isn't it? You don't know until you try it on, you use it. But yeah, sometimes that's the best way. I mean, it's trial and error. It's taken me years to find a really good boot. Dave, I know the same with you.
Yeah.
All the boots you've had, now you found obviously the main little boutons you kind of literally swear by, because they fit, don't they? But you've got, and it was bang on the size you normally go for.
So I buy. It used to be like I grew up hearing that, that when you buy boots, you buy a set bigger, largely because you wear like big thick socks and things like that. But actually, things have developed now. You don't have to wear these you don't need these giant big thermal socks all the time. The boot provides the majority of the insulation. So generally speaking, you should buy a boot that fits your size. So when you're buying a boot, even though I know I'm a 10.5, I'm a 10.5 all day long. So the main little boutons that I bought are a 10.5, and they fit perfectly, with or without a sock. So a thick sock rather. I tend to use a medium to a thin anyway. I've never needed a thick sock. So yeah, I personally think that the way things are now and with the way boots are made, you can buy a pair that fits you as per your size. But always get your feet measured in the shop first. If they can't measure it, go to a different shop, get them measured, and then go back. And then if they say you're a 10.5, then you need to try 10.5, and then if that feels too tight, then go above or down. But yeah, always recommend trying them on first.
Yeah, nice. Oh, his name's Barney.
Awesome. 6 years, he's pretty good. Ollie doing slightly more chat. Is that why Ollie doesn't get featured in the picture?
Because he's a challenging one.
Because he's a challenging one, yeah.
Olivia's asked another good question just around atoll. Yeah, atoll is something again to do with flights. When you get an atoll certificate, it protects your international flights. So definitely make sure that anyone you book your flights through do get your international flights. You do get an atoll certificate for it because it protects you. Something similar. I mean, we have our own insurance, that covers the company, if you like. But it is up to each individual customer to get their own travel insurance that includes like helicopter evacuation or high altitude. Most companies, again, Lauren, if you're on here, we've got an article around, we've written on our website, on a knowledge center, around different insurance companies we use. It's built around Everest, but you can use it for, it is built for, you can use it any high altitude trip. Yeah, so basically if you look at Campbell Irvin, True Traveller Insurance, Big Cat, you've got a company called Dog Tag, all those, they include high altitude trekking insurance. So yeah, Olivia, definitely get yourself insured on there. I mean, it's not something you need to do like years in advance. Sometimes you get people, and we've done it like the day before you travel. You know, it's as long as you get it covered before you arrive, that's the important thing. And that's it. Yeah, great stuff. Well, look, I mean, we've gone on, what, we've done an hour. Wow, it's good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's great now. But look, thanks for everyone for joining us. You know, great to see so many EverTrekkers on here as well. And you know, if you're keen to book on a trip with us, just reach out. You know, Olivia, I know you said you're going to book. Jump on the website, have a look at the dates, and book in. But yeah, great to see you all. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
As always, reach out to me and the team in the interim. And until then, we'll see you.
Awesome. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.